Hello Internet, I'm Hugo.
And I'm Jake.
And this is Unpopular Culture, and today we're going to be talking about something you probably heard of at this point because it's supposed to be announced Thursday. Today it's Wednesday, so this is either coming out the day it happens or a day or a couple days after.
Also,
or
we
whatever.
mentioned it in passing.
Yeah. But the rumor is Disney is about to announce a huge deal to purchase Fox tomorrow for something like $60 billion or something like that.
It's a little bit of money.
It's a ridiculous amount of money. 20th Century Fox, which has quite a few outreaching ramifications. So I wanted to talk about this on two fronts. Firstly, on an obnoxious fanboy front, which we will get out of the way first.
Yeah, let's do that.
And
That's
what it means for Star Wars, MCU, and different IP acquisitions. And then secondly, we'll talk about the actual real-world business ramifications.
This is first the cynical part.
And why this is probably a bad thing for entertainment in general.
In the long run.
But first, let's do the nerdy, stupid bullshit.
Nerdy fanboy stuff. Ready?
Here we go. So, firstly, what this means, for me personally,
I'm
a big fan of the MCU.
Yep, same.
This means that they're going to get the rights back to Fantastic Four and X-Men.
And there's some other properties within that.
There might be some smaller ones. I know obviously that's going to include stuff like Doctor Doom, Galactus, all that was sold off with the Fantastic Four rights.
Silver Surfer.
Yeah, I've also heard that there might be a third party that actually owns that, and Fox was just renting it from them, so that might get complicated.
I can't believe that whoever that third party is doesn't want them to make money from the MCU.
Yeah. So, it appears that they might be getting injected into the MCU somehow, which I am very excited by. With the upcoming Avengers 3 and Avengers 4, which is so far untitled, they can obviously work these in different ways using the Infinity Stones
You were talking the other day about how you would introduce the Fantastic Four into the Avengers movie that is untitled currently.
Here is what I would do, just from a marketing standpoint. What you do is at the next D23 event, which is Disney's big event where they announce their slate of films for the next year or whatever.
It's E3 for Disney.
Yeah. When they announce their next slate of Marvel films and they get to Avengers 4, when they're announcing the title, have it fade in Avengers, and then for 4, have it the Fantastic Four 4, and you introduce the Fantastic Four in Avengers 4 as opposed to in their own film. Because honestly, I don't think the Fantastic Four are that interesting.
But how do you incorporate Fantastic Four? I guess let's talk about that for just a minute. How do you bring them into the MCU and not make it awful?
The best I've heard as far as plans for that, there's
like a good pitch.
Best pitch I've heard is there's a guy called Movie Bob here on YouTube.
Sure.
His pitch for it was essentially the Fantastic Four, because so much of the stuff surrounding the Fantastic Four and people's idea of them is around 60s. That was sort of their heyday. That 60s sci-fi weird aesthetic. What you do is you actually set the Fantastic Four from the 60s, have the event that they take place in that gives them the powers, whether it be traveling to that other dimension or whether it be in space like it is in the original comic, have some sort of time dilation effect happen, and then when they return to Earth, it is now present-day MCU.
Yeah. It also explains where the fuck they've been.
Yeah, and then you do sort of a, you have the man out of time stuff, and again, Movie Bob goes into this when he talks about how to fix the Fantastic Four, basically, and I think he does a very good job explaining it. But that out of the way, what I think is more interesting is the X-Men. Because I think the X-Men, well, there are certainly great films in the X-Men canon. Deadpool, Logan, I think X2 is great. But
are Logan and... I mean, Logan is definitely in canon. I think it tweaks it a little bit. But
it's considered...
Is Deadpool in canon? Because he makes fun of Fourth Wall-y, like, who's the fuck is...
Deadpool's its own fucking thing, and it kind of fits in as much as it wants to or doesn't want to. It's a big joke.
It also rode the line specifically between the MCU, it seems like, on purpose, and... I wonder if, by the way, the scenes with the helicarrier and stuff were in there because they knew maybe Fox was getting sold. Do you think maybe anyone knew?
That was too long.
You think it was just
just
tongue-in-cheek?
It was just tongue-in-cheek helicarrier joke. But the X-Men, if you introduce them into the MCU, however you do it, regardless of whether or not it's through some Infinity Stone thing that activates the X gene all of a sudden, and that's why there's mutants now.
It would have to be something that happens. It would have to be a reaction to... It couldn't just be like, oh, now there's mutants.
Whether it's that or whatever. What I think would be cool with this is to do something what they did with Spider-Man Homecoming, which is to have a teen superhero, but it would be a team of teen superheroes. So you have sort of teenage X-Men around Peter Parker's age. They can be a little bit older if you want. But I want X-Men who are just starting out. I want X-Men who are learning their powers and have a team dynamic. The Singer films... Which looks like Bryan Singer's not going to be around the X-Men or anyone for a while.
I mean, that's kind of what you get.
Yeah, they're very early 2000s superhero film, and is very different than what you got going on now, so that would be cool.
Cornier, but in a bad way. Now, I do think, consider this, they do have a new animated movie coming out. It's like Welcome to the Spider Universe or something like that.
Spider-Verse.
Spider-Verse
Sony
looks cool.
Sony's actually doing that because they still own the rights to Spider-Man. The animation on that actually looks beautiful.
It looks incredible. Miles Morales is one of the main. But, so what if you, because the MCU and Disney are working with Sony to use the Spider-Man property, what if you kind of establish an outside universe where the X-Men are, there's no Avengers, there's only X-Men, but then to have Spider-Man and stuff like in that, you could have like the Spider-Verse happen, and you can have another Spider-Man.
If it's another Spider-Man,
because Madam Web and the sort of the way that kind of shit works, I think I kind of like the X-Men being the only hope superheroes instead of like they're one of dozens of options. You get what I'm saying? It makes the X-Men feel more important because they're kind of normal people with one power instead of like, oh, we could also just like kick it on over to Thor, who is a god.
I've kind of always, here's how I view the X-Men in the context of the Marvel Universe, comics-wise. I mean, obviously this is going to vary hugely depending on who you're talking about, whether you're talking about pre or post House of M and different stuff. But I've always considered mutants sort of the step between street-level heroes like Daredevil and Avengers-level Hulk, Iron Man, Captain America. They're kind of where they don't have the fame and the resources necessarily of the Avengers, although they certainly have resources thanks to Professor X. But they're also not just going out on the street and beating up muggers. They're kind of... They get the stuff that isn't necessarily always world-threatening. I'm aware there's plenty of times they've saved the world. Shut up.
But the other problem is they're in New York.
Yeah, and also they do mutant-centric stuff, which is always... They deal with the prejudice and,
I mean, granted, like, it's not like Daredevil and Luke Cage and everybody else is out there fighting alongside the Avengers.
Yeah.
But I kind of get that with them. Especially, I mean, based on the timeline of events, of course. But even so, I don't think we're ever going to see them in an MCU movie.
You don't think we're ever going to see... Oh, the TV people. No,
the TV people,
no,
right.
I don't think so. Which is unfortunate, because I think a lot of those people, I would love to see them in a movie, but...
So, honestly, because of how we separate in our brains, I'd almost rather see an X-Men Netflix series or Hulu or something before we got into the movies, and then like bridge and then bump into the movies as they get older.
Have you seen Legion, which is the FX X-Men universe series? That's one of the best pieces of television I've seen as far as like superhero ever. That's up there with
Daredevil season 1. Because Daredevil season 1, I think we can all agree is like kind of the mark.
Daredevil season 1's here. I think Legion's right on par with it, but in a different way. Legion is more... It deals with more psychological, weird, other dimensional beings and, like, actual, like... These are mutants. They have superpowers. Yeah. What's going on with this weird mental shit? I'd say it's up there just in a different way. So I'm hoping Legion still continues. I hope Disney, under this acquisition, recognizes the money they're making there and doesn't pull the plug or anything. I also hate to say it, but I wouldn't mind seeing an Avengers versus X-Men movie. But...
Avengers versus X-Men? Why versus?
Why not? Because it's a comic book movie. Why Captain America: Civil War? Because it's
but that made sense. I'm saying like what? Like what's your?
You would probably maybe it's even the first time the Avengers are become aware of the X-Men, and let's say the media paints them as a terrorist group. People like J. Jonah Jameson.
I mean,
they point Spider-Man, they point at X-Men, and they say, "Oh, they're bad guys."
Yeah, you just had to sell me. Okay. Although, does Wolverine actually just go fucking kill people? Also, we have to talk about the R-rated Deadpool, and if they're going to, because you know how Disney is.
I know.
I don't think they'll touch a standalone Deadpool movie with a hey go PG-13. I think they understand that they make their money with their adult audience.
As much as Disney likes their family-friendly image, I think they like dollar signs more, and Deadpool is one of the most profitable R-rated films of all time, so I gotta imagine they recognize
the most profitable R-rated?
I believe it's number 2. I think Passion of the Christ still edges it out.
Oh, is that rated R?
Just slightly, yeah. Because of all the gore.
Well, hey, I would rate it R. I'm just, you know.
Yeah. What else? I would like to see, however, I wouldn't mind if they did a team-up movie with him and Spider-Man, because I love Deadpool and Spider-Man crossovers.
Yeah.
If they needed to do a Deadpool Spider-Man thing and make it PG-13, I'm
Yeah.
fine with it.
We talked about this actually yesterday, just in my house without like recording anything.
Yeah.
And the idea we kind of came up with was, what if you just bleep every time Deadpool wants to swear, and because he can break the fourth wall, he doesn't understand why a bleep comes out of his fucking mouth. And then, like, near the end, because PG-13 movies get one fuck, at the very end, after the credits, so you can take your kids out and shit, he's trying to break through the wall that keeps him from doing that, and he finally goes, fuck! And he goes, did it! I think that'd be interesting, and fun, and kind of, I don't know, acknowledging, like, Disney being very aware that, yeah.
I'm going to be quite honest, I think the idea of Tom Holland dealing with Deadpool is hilarious.
Yeah.
Because his Peter Parker, it'd be such a... Deadpool's so much older, the
He's
age
so
difference.
virginal in personality as well.
It'd be hilarious. Because, you know, he deals with Tony Stark fine, because Tony Stark's, you know, he's a put-together guy. I mean, he's intended...
Well...
Tony Stark is his father figure who... Yeah. He aspires to be. I want Deadpool to be an adult figure in Spider-Man's life who
he would never aspire to be.
Never aspires to be, and in fact is like, oh god.
I think it also would be fun to watch Deadpool trying to kill people and Spider-Man fighting while trying not to let Deadpool kill people.
Yes. And that's a good way to handle, again, toning it down to PG-13 every time Deadpool tries to, like, mercilessly murder someone, Spider-Man... and make a joke out of it. It's fine. Yeah. As long as you still have an R-rated Deadpool series going on, I don't think people would be mad.
Now, enough of MCU, I think. What's this mean for Star Wars, which is the biggest property they own? And now Fox, because of this, they own a little bit more, right?
Yeah, 20th Century Fox, if anyone doesn't know, in perpetuity owns the rights to A New Hope. What that means is that even though Disney technically bought Star Wars for the sum of something like $3 billion back in 2014 or whenever it was, they didn't own the rights to A New Hope because since 20th Century Fox made that movie, they had a certain contract or whatever, they just held on to that property.
I don't blame them.
Which means that since Disney had acquired the Star Wars property, they couldn't release any box sets, including A New Hope, or any material related to A New Hope without compensating and getting permission from Fox.
Which means look forward to a box set of all of these.
Yes, which will include all the movies, including A New Hope. This also means, theoretically, if the negatives do exist... to the original cut of A New Hope, the unaltered one that George Lucas has said.
Do it!
George Lucas has said on multiple occasions that no original negatives exist. I find that bizarre, though. He said that they were destroyed in the making of the reversions, but no one would fucking destroy a film negative, an original film negative, to do that. So
also, the theaters that it first came out with have those films.
I find it completely bullshit that that's the thing. So I gotta imagine Disney will get their hands on the original cuts of the Star Wars films, and it'd be nice if they would release them. I would absolutely buy that. I don't own any of the original trilogy because you can't buy, like, HD quality ones that aren't the new versions. And I don't care to watch that. Sorry.
I don't apologize. I remember watching them as a kid. You can't even find them, like, on your pirate ship. Soaring the internet. It's actually really hard to find.
There are some fan edits that kind of have restored them to their original versions as best as they can. They're actually pretty well done. Those are available via your pirate ships.
Did the fan edit of the prequel trilogy get taken down? I heard that got taken down, but there was a really cool fan edit of the original prequels that like they made Jar Jar have subtitles and they took away all the. I'll call them racist. They weren't really racist. I'd say they were caricatures of races we understand. Like, oh, we are the Trade Federation. Yeah, okay, we get it. Space Jew owns slaves. George. Anyways, it gave them alien voices with subtitles, and it made their dialogue worth it. It made Jar Jar not crazy, and the movies benefited greatly from it. Of course, it still had cheesy, like. I just rewatched those with my girlfriend. Yeah. Did you realize that not a single clone trooper in any of the movies is physically in the scene? Not one. None of them.
Is that true?
That is true. I looked at what you do get is their physical heads but they're in a green suit.
Because it's that guy.
Right.
It's that New Zealand
Of course,
actor.
yeah. And you also get the pictures, I guess the clone troopers where, I mean, it's obviously digitally because it's the same person. It's Jango Fett's clone in the cafeteria, but none of the in-suit clone troopers are real. Not even the ones next to Yoda, which I thought those certainly had to be. I mean, they're staying on Kashyyyk in the third movie, and they're on this platform, and there's just a few of them. Nope, CG'd.
That makes me really appreciate what they're doing with the newer ones.
Yeah, like that was. I think the stormtroopers, like being able to see them immediately, and that's kind of why I think we opened on that scene. Sure. Was like, this is Star Wars now.
Say what you will about the Disneyfication of Star Wars and the kind of formula, whatever.
I hear this next one's gonna change all of that,
but
Rian Johnson got a trilogy out of this movie, so
The Force Awakens is a fucking watchable film that's entertaining.
It's really good movie. I
now,
love that movie.
Okay, I think that's it for like
Star Wars
fanboy shit.
Okay, here comes the cynical part.
But one more thing. And that is the streaming service Disney is doing. Another big part of this purchase is they wanted the television catalogs of 20th Century Fox, so that boosts their streaming service.
This considers me.
By a
this
lot.
makes me go, might get it.
Yeah, that's a Disney plus Fox's properties and TV and movies and stuff. Yeah. You're looking.
This makes me want to get rid of HBO when Game of Thrones and Westworld aren't on. Yeah. Which I might do
and they've said that the pricing will be in line with Netflix. So
about $8-9
to 15. I'd say 8 to 15 it's reasonable to call around Netflix price.
Sure. If I could stream all the Star Wars stuff, I mean, and the Marvel stuff.
All right, cynical time.
Yay.
Now Disney, of course, is a company.
They are a big one.
And companies, while I wouldn't say are immoral, are certainly amoral.
They certainly are.
They exist to create profit.
However, I will say that as of right now, I think we all kind of trust Disney to put out relatively high quality entertainment. For now, I'm just saying, so far, this cynicism is based on what other companies do, and we know that it happens. Like, we know it happens. So this cynicism is girded in facts, with a little bit of hope down here, deep inside the heart, that Disney is altruistic, and so I don't believe it will happen.
I'm not even talking about the quality of the films here.
No.
The business practices alone, Disney is not great, and that's especially considering there was a article, I mean, just a month ago, all about how Disney's fucking over theaters with The Last Jedi and the revenue share and how long they have to have it in certain theaters.
Nintendo does stuff like this too.
I know, it's just that Disney is becoming such a huge media conglomerate. This is the end of the big six studio era. Essentially now you're going to have one super studio that is Disney that is far and away has more IP than anyone else, and then you're going to have four smaller super studio or big studios. Paramount, Universal, Sony, and
Sony. Warner Brothers.
Warner Brothers, and then it'll be Disney. Fox was again part of that, but they're going to be consolidated. So, I'm very concerned where the media landscape is going as far as the hoarding of all this intellectual property, especially considering Disney's. How do I put this?
They're killing it right now.
Disney likes to buy up IP because they know it's almost certainly guaranteed cash back if they put Star Wars or whatever on something. The more studios are following this model and the fewer are independent or smaller, and I know it's hilarious to call 20th Century Fox that, but I'm talking relative to the super studio Disney is about to become. You're gonna get less unique projects, less original projects, but consider this as well. I'm also considering this. The film industry in its current shape is not going to look the same in 20 years. Theaters are going the way of drive-ins to a certain extent. I think there will still be theaters, but their place will be smaller than it has been in the last, let's say, 30 years as far as pop culture. I think they'll be more specialized. I think there'll be more restaurant-y ones.
I think it'll be an experience. They're selling the experience, not the film. The film is kind of the backdrop for the experience.
And a lot of film...
Which I think is a great idea, personally.
Yeah. And I think a lot of film production, especially for these smaller productions that used to would have been handled by the studios and stuff, are going to places like independent stuff.
Sundance.
And also...
IFC.
Streaming services like Netflix also have film divisions, and Hulu is doing original films now, and a lot
Amazon.
Of
by the way, Amazon is putting out some actually really good content, which I'm surprised with. So Amazon Studios could actually break in and be the 6th. Netflix Studios 7th. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's just that the big studios won't be necessarily releasing films in theaters. Some of it will be straight to your home, which is a completely different business model, and I'm curious how that's going to end up.
I think right now, because of the infrastructure involved and kind of how that has to work, is it'll say blank Netflix exclusive, blank Amazon Prime exclusive. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then of course I don't think they'll snuff their nose at being able to buy the physical copies of these things.
Oh, of course, Netflix, releases their shows and stuff.
Yeah.
On Blu-ray and
stuff, I agree with you. I don't think this is like the tipping point. I think we're headed there anyway. I just think it might quicken some of these other studios to get on board with that, which I think is good. Okay, it's good and bad for a consumer. It's good that you're going to get more options. It's bad that you might need to get several different streaming services to get the options you want.
What I'm worried about is this is going to set off a chain reaction in which other studios all of a sudden are going to get scared because Disney is becoming a super studio, and you're going to see a couple other studios and go from one super studio, 4 smaller studios, to maybe like 3 super studios, or you know what I mean?
Or they sell back into Disney,
or something, you know what I mean? Yeah. Or the other ones start combining or selling or buying up smaller things to bolster them. I don't know. It's just whatever happens when Disney buys this, the media landscape is going to look completely different. On top of
as long as Sony isn't the name on top of any of those studios, I'm kind of fine with it.
On top of all of this, for those of you who don't know, 20th Century Fox major shareholders are the Murdochs. The Murdochs, you'll know as the people who have Fox News, and
they just got $60 billion.
Conservative media empire. They're trying to, according to reports, they're trying to get away from media buys and stuff like entertainment and focus entirely on
propaganda,
sports, Fox Sports.
And propaganda.
Fox
okay.
News.
Okay.
So Fox News and Fox Sports.
This is not to say, however, by the way, that I think there's no left-leaning propaganda.
Sure.
I'm just saying, like, I think Fox News is the most clear case of propaganda in our country.
Breitbart exists. Anyway.
Well, okay, but they're not.
I know what you mean. Mainstream.
Yeah.
So, all of a sudden, Fox News and the Murdochs are about to be very, very cash-rich and able to infuse
which they were already, but this is more so. Clearly.
More so. They're about to liquidate
$60 billion is not nothing.
They're liquidating one of the major studios, essentially. Yeah. I mean, of course, they're,
Also, as a sports fan, Fox Sports does a pretty fine job. And they don't usually, like, say crazy shit, although they have Clay Travis is the one that does.
I don't know.
I'm not saying it won't change. I'm just saying, like, their production of sports, I know that you don't frequent it, it's a good production. So, like, Fox Football, they don't really get into basketball. They do baseball, though. They do a really good job. So I don't know what changes there.
I don't know.
I think the news is what's definitely going to change.
I don't know what percentage of the money Rupert Murdoch is actually going to get, but any amount of extra liquid cash in his hands is bad news in my opinion, so I'm kind of worried about that.
Sure.
I mean, and just by the way, for the record, I believe Star Wars sold a couple years ago for $3 billion. Again, this is reportedly going to be something like a 20 to 60 billion range, depending on, I've seen different reports. 60 is the highest I've seen.
How much of that do you think hinged on obtaining a New Hope? I'd say a lot of that would tip towards it, because think of that, the money you can do when you go, we have 3 trilogies to give you, after Last Jedi and whatever comes next.
I guarantee it was the big...
Carrot?
Fox's big bargaining chips were A New Hope, X-Men, and
Fantastic Four.
Some of their TV stuff.
Yeah,
probably for the streaming service.
Also, they do have those. 20th Century Fox was the ones that owned the some classic stuff, though. I know it's not Paramount. Was it Paramount or Universal that owns? It's Universal that owns the classic monsters, right?
Oh yeah.
And then Fox owns a ton of classic stuff. And
oh yeah, because it was one of the original.
Right.
I mean, it was the
we're talking like 30s, right?
Yeah, we're talking. They were contemporary with like MGM and a lot of those other ones. But
so,
which is funny because MGM is not. I mean, but there were older studios than that got consolidated much earlier or later. But you know what I mean.
So again, good and bad. What I'm hoping, as far as the original stuff is concerned, the originality of the entertainment we get, is this does kind of force Disney to broaden the number of people it's on, because it's making more content. It's automatically going to have to make more content to make $60 billion worth more. So I think what you need to do is, especially they did this with, was it Microsoft a few years ago? It'll have like the stamp of Disney on it, but like over here is who actually made it.
Wait, does Disney own Microsoft?
No. They did. It was a monopoly case suit with Microsoft.
Oh,
is what I'm saying. And if you could argue that Disney is touching the tapping on the glass of Monopolyville. And so what I'm saying is, game studios do this too. Like EA made it, but BioWare is actually who made it. Like it's a producer, a distributor, and a producer. I'm saying you could get stuff like that. So as far as the originality is concerned, and Disney has some of the best minds, and I think a lot of the people that actually write for Disney and make content, they all seem really into the job. When you read their Twitters and stuff, and you get in social media and you read interviews with them, or you watch stuff.
I'm not concerned about the creative aspects.
Right, I think the creative. So I'm just saying, if anyone's worried about like, it's just going to be cookie cutter bullshit, I've never gotten that feel from Disney really, except for these remakes. These live action remakes are the first time.
The bad Marvel movies really fit into it.
I say that's a Feige thing though. Because he's in charge.
I mean, at the end of the day, he's in charge of the good ones, though, too. So I can't.
Well, I know. I'm just saying, well, no. There's a clear delineation. We can look at the mark, and it's around Dark World. Is when people are like, we don't like this.
Okay.
And then start moving forward. And I think we've gotten when's the last really bad Marvel movie? Ant-Man's the worst one in recent memory, and I like that.
Dark World's the last one that I just am like, eh.
Yeah, that's the one. So okay. I'm just saying, I don't know.
Oh, Doctor Strange was kind of bland.
Did you not like Doctor Strange?
No, I like Doctor Strange. There's a lot of fun stuff.
It's better than Ant-Man to me.
But I wouldn't watch it again. Does that make sense? I won't watch it a ton.
I've seen it probably 3 times.
It's similar in that it's origin story. It's got origin story syndrome.
I do also think the first time you watch that ending, it's really great, and the second time you watch it, you're like, I get it.
Yeah.
But it is a good ending.
A lot of the effects are fun to look at, though.
Yeah.
I don't remember if it won for best effects or if it was just.
It was definitely.
It was nominated. It deserved that nomination.
Yeah. So. Anyways, is there anything else to talk about with this? I'm sure as more news comes out and kind of what we see plans. When's the D23 thing?
Oh, it's gonna be a while till their next one.
Next summer, right?
Yeah, they have time.
Or spring, I mean.
Whatever they're. For one thing, I guarantee Disney has been talking to. For a while, I'm like, hey, have plans in case we pick up Fox in the next couple of years.
Right.
So I assume there'll be some projects that had been on the back burner that'll get pushed forward.
I'm excited for an X-Men reboot. I'm excited for... but this makes me think that Fox kind of knew it was selling, because Hugh Jackman said, this is the last time I'm doing Wolverine, and I don't know whether that was maybe a... I know he was kind of done with it anyway, but, it seems so definitive that maybe... They did know, and they were like, hey, just so you know, this is kind of where the industry's going.
I think they had known the IP that they had built off of Singer's specific X-Men, the original team from that
was
specific franchise had petered out, and that was about the last thing.
Logan was so good, though. So, I'm kind of glad that got made before this all happened.
Oh, it's the swan song of that whole series.
Well, I mean, just good for Hugh Jackman. Having to go through all these things. And I think he did the best job he could, and I don't think anyone thinks Hugh Jackman's a bad Wolverine. Yeah. But that was real, and it gave Pat Stu, his due, being,
what I'm wondering,
the great actors got their thing.
There's a couple X-Men movies on the slate that are already filmed and ready to go, that are gonna go out anyway, so I'm curious. New Mutants, which is, more, if you've seen the trailer, looks more horror based.
Oh yeah, it did.
And I believe Gambit's still on the docket. And some other stuff.
Gambit with Deadpool would be fucking cool.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I don't know. I'm gonna accept this and hope for the best. Because there's nothing I can do to stop it.
No.
I will, however, point out, the shitty business practices when and if they occur.
Sure. And so hopefully this is all gonna be good. Yeah. Hopefully this is good.
At the very least, as we descend into horrible corporatocracy dystopia.
Ready Player One will happen, and then we'll all just run around in the computer world.
Yeah, and our virtual MCU that we live in our horrible dystopia will include the Fantastic Four. So,
Thing Hulk fight though. That's a thing we get to look forward to.
Okay. Fuck it, dystopia, worth it.
Yeah.
Until next time, I'm Hugo.
Jake.
Unpopular culture.